This is what comes to mind when you think of the concept music. Talented performers playing beautifully handcrafted instruments, all producing lovely sounds. But this little black box can also produce music. It's a MIDI box, a musical instrument digital interface. And today, musicians are using devices like these to get music out of, well, just a plastic box with nothing more than silicon chips inside. Though it's unlikely it will ever sound quite as good as a string quartet. Today, we look at and listen to MIDI music on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in part by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh, and the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Bob O'Donnell, editor of Electronic Musician magazine. Bob, we have the Miracle Piano here from Software Toolworks. A lot of people have heard about this with Nintendo, but you can use it actually in a better way with your personal computer and turn your computer into a piano teacher. Let's show our viewers how this actually works. Here's a song that it wants you to practice, so try to play it and make a couple of mistakes on purpose here. And you see the screen shows you the notes to be played. On the staff, the actual finger you should be using. At the bottom of the screen, you see the actual keyboard as it's depressed on the piano. And you've finished a pretty lousy practice session here, and let's see what the teacher inside the computer says about that. You had some trouble with that performance. You made 24 errors. I guess what's neat is the computer is really listening to your performance. Now, what I want to do is show what would happen here if you kept on really messing up. And it's really great, especially for kids, because it'll turn what looked like a music lesson into a video arcade game. So we'll go to the main menu, go to the arcade, and ask it, say, to play this Ducks game. And it's Ode to Joy. You see, it's the same piece of music now, but in a different way. And take a look at this. Okay, so these ducks are coming along, and they're on the staff just as if they were notes. It's asking you to recognize those notes. And if you hit the right key, you kill the duck. And if you hit the wrong note, you don't kill the duck. Pretty neat way to learn how to play the piano. All right, this is kind of fun stuff we're talking about now, but electronic music is really becoming serious. I mean, it's becoming mainstream in the music business, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very much of a professional tool. It's been around for several years now, and it's established itself as a main production tool. But the beauty of MIDI is it also works for hobbyists and allows people to make music at home very cost efficiently and in a way that they could never dreamed of before. And on the professional end, what's happening now is the one thing that MIDI has been lacking is the ability to incorporate vocals and acoustic guitar parts, things like that. And now people are adding digital recording capability to MIDI sequencing programs, which allows them to integrate everything into a complete system, which they can control and manipulate from their computer.
All right, Bob, today we'll look at the newest MIDI music products on all the major platforms, the Amiga, the Macintosh, the PC, and the Atari. Now, the Atari has become known as a music machine because it's the only computer that comes with a MIDI interface built in. We begin today with MIDI music on the Atari ST.
This is the National Association of Music Merchants Convention, being held this year in Anaheim. The NAMM, as it's called, is the premier international marketplace for musical products, and it's no surprise that it looks more like a computer show than a music convention. As usual, one of the stars at NAMM is Atari, long the musician's favorite. And at this year's NAMM, Atari's new music division helped launch several new third-party products. C-Lab was showing off its Notator sequencer. Notator lets you work on nearly 1,600 separate tracks, of which 64 can be simultaneous. Each track can contain 16 separate and simultaneous MIDI channels. Mike Pinder is one of the original members of the Moody Blues, and he uses Notator.
Right now I'm doing a lot of sequencing involving flying in extra vocals and things like that, and this program works very well for that, for reconstructing music even. Music that was recorded in the past. I'm able to resample it and then recompile it using Notator.
Another new MIDI product on display at the Atari booth was the Digital Master Workstation that lets you do two-track digital record and playback direct to disc. The whole hardware-software combination sells for $4,500. Mick Fleetwood of the group Fleetwood Mac is another Atari computer musician. Fleetwood uses the new HOTS MIDI translator invented by Jimmy Hotz. It's been called the first true hyper instrument, enabling a musician with limited technical skills to create complex music.
My main frustration was I'm a drummer, of course, not a keyboard player, and it started with really saying it must be possible in this day and age to develop a system where someone can either learn to play, if you're a player, to become instantly far more prolific, quite frankly, than conventional methods.
The HOTS MIDI translator uses a database of chords and sequences and functions like an intelligent musical accompanist. The device sells for under $200. Chester Thompson is a drummer who's played with Phil Collins and Genesis. He uses Cubase, a sequencing program from the Steinberg-Jones Company. The newest version of Cubase lets you not only control MIDI inputs, but also gives you remote software control of multi-track tape machines. In all, there were 16 developers showing off new music products for the Atari platform at this year's Music Merchant Show. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
The Commodore Amiga has also been a popular MIDI music machine. Here to show us a new Amiga program called Super Jam is Melissa Jordan Gray, president of the Blue Ribbon Soundworks. Now let's set your credentials up a bit. I understand you're the one who did the music actually for Atlanta's big presentation to the International Olympics Committee and the multimedia thing that got you the Olympics in Atlanta.
That's right, that was a lot of fun.
Did you do that on an Amiga? What did you use to create that?
Yes, actually we did it with an Amiga using another piece of software that Blue Ribbon publishes called Bars and Pipes, Bars and Pipes Professional. And actually, aside from getting to work with a lot of really talented people, it was a wonderful testing ground for the later versions of our music packages because I really learned what was needed.
Now, you a musician, a hacker, or both?
I am a musician. I am a saxophone player. If you look at the screen here, you'll see there is a saxophone. That's the Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Of software right there.
All right, let's go to the software. This is called Super Jam, and this is software, not hardware.
That's correct.
Okay, for your Amiga. All right, show us what you can do with Super Jam then, Melissa. Just run us through it.
What you're looking at here is the Super Jam keyboard, and if you can look carefully, you'll see that on the bottom row of the keys are chords, and if I click down, I'm able to actually hear chords playing from each of these keys. And if you know anything about music, chords are an assemblage of notes that play together. So if I click on a C and there's a big M, I'm going to get a C major chord.
Oh, I see. That's what the big M, little m, major, minor. Okay.
That's right. D with a little m, minor chord. And if I want to learn a little more about chords, I can click over here and I can hear the different parts.
Right.
Now let's say that I happen to play this one and love the way it sounds. No problem. I'm just going to pick it up, drag it over there, and drop it on a key.
Wow.
Exactly. So you can set up all these different chords on your keyboard and then use a command here called save. It's yours. So then the next thing I do is pick a style, and here I've got a style called Amadeus, which is based on Mozart, and I'm just going to press play. And the Super Jam band starts playing.
What are they playing? Where does this come from?
Well, what they're doing is they've been taught a certain style of playing. What we're listening.
Amadeus style.
That's correct. Okay. And the style is maybe a drum part and a keyboard part and a piano part, and the relationship of them working together. And also, very quickly, I could just click, listen to a dance tune. And so by clicking on keys.
So you are playing this music right now?
I'm deciding.
You're playing the chords. Okay.
And I could also play it from my keyboard here, so I could just.
Again, you don't need a separate keyboard, a synthesizer. This is all just coming out of the Amiga.
This is coming from the Amiga, and what you can also do, this is a lovely mode here, create chords and create seventh chords on all notes. See, I can do this without looking. It's like Stevie Wonder. No, okay.
That's how he does it.
That's it. But I can also change the tempo. I can slow it down. And let's say we're singing along. If it's a little bit too high for you, I can tell.
Right.
So we can go ahead and lower that key by clicking here.
So this looks like a lot of the buttons you have on one of those expensive Yamahas or Casios or something.
Yes, but there's a difference because on the Yamahas and the Casio, first of all, you can't tell it how to play music, which you can do with this one. You can't just suddenly change keys quickly, and most importantly, you can't write it down. See, this is just sort of the playground of Super Jam. But we can move forward and say, okay, I'd like to write a piece of music. We're going to call that the intro. We're going to make our intro, let's say, 5 measures in length. And this actually remembers the key I'm in, remembers the tempo, and it even remembers the style that I was doing. But I'm going to go ahead and put us back at the key of C. And I just start playing.
Now, when you say start playing, I mean, where's that melody coming from?
Okay, well, what I'm doing is I'm telling the program what chords I want it to play. I've told it what style, what key, and what tempo. And it takes all that information and it puts it together, and it plays music.
So you're saying a musical moron could kind of sit down here and close their eyes and do what you did, and something comes out and you can say, I wrote that.
If you can't play an instrument, this will fool your mother into thinking you went to piano lessons every day. Promise. And if you can play music, you'll be able to play music even better. There's no question about it.
Yeah, now where does it fit? Is this both for the person who doesn't know anything and wants to mess around, and is it also for the musician who really wants to use this as a tool?
If you are a good musician, you will be a great musician with Super Jam. If you are a video producer, you'll become a music producer with Super Jam. And like I said, if you couldn't carry a tune with a bucket, you won't need a bucket to carry more than that with
Super Jam is for the Amiga. How much does it cost?
It lists for $149 and can be purchased for as low as $79 in the store.
Melissa, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, some of the new computer-based music gadgets are rather incredible, and we're going to visit the Center for Computer Research in Music and Acoustics at Stanford University to see the cutting edge of computer music.
Okay, go ahead.
The philosophy here at Stanford is to use computers to go beyond human capabilities in creating music, but at the same time to allow computers to extend natural human creativity into the musical realm. For example, this is the BioMuse, also known as the air violin. It's a signal processor that takes its input from the performer's musical movements.
The right arm does notes on and off, and also loudness. The more muscle tension from this muscle that's being picked up, the louder the note can become. And in the left hand, since it's the fretboard, we change note number. The more muscle tension, the higher the note. And the more you relax, the lower the note.
One of the most difficult musical sounds to simulate is that of the human voice. This is spasm, the singing physical articulatory synthesis model. The problem with spasm is it's too perfect.
In a way, she's the perfect singer. She can sing a note without vibrato. She can sing a note without any pitch deviation, without any deviation at all. But we realized very quickly in computer music that those very aspects are the parts that make sounds unattractive in a way to the ear.
So Cook is spending most of his time trying to add human imperfection to spasm's voice so it will sound more believable. Another experimental musical device here at the Stanford Center is the radio baton. It lets you conduct an orchestra simply by waving around 2 batons over this flat box. As you wave the batons, the sensors in the box detect your movement. The computer already knows the music, but will play it according to how you move the batons. What is ironic about the radio baton is that its developer says the technology helps the performer focus on interpretation rather than technique.
Because the technique, in some sense, is easy on the instrument, allows the performer to focus all his attention and mental abilities on the expression or what he wants to say with the music. What he wants to say could be called the soul of the music.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Now, you don't need $1 million worth of computers to play around with MIDI music. You can even do it on your plain old PC. Here to show us how is Dennis Lebrecq of Passport Designs, Inc. Now, Dennis, I have to tell you, we did a show on MIDI music a couple of years ago. I mean, there were keyboards, wires, cables, boxes. I can't believe it. I mean,
I was part of setting some of that
just
stuff
one
up.
computer. You have one keyboard, one box. What is the Roland box?
That's a Roland sound module, and that's capable of producing up to 16 different sounds at the same time. So it's really like having 16 keyboards all in one
really
little box.
changed in the past couple of
Changed
years.
completely. You can have a full-blown recording studio right here.
Okay, we have a PC running Windows, and you have a program called Encore. Tell us about it and then show us what you do.
Encore is a transcription program, notation program for professional musicians, and it allows you to literally print sheet music. Put a piece of sheet music up on the screen and print it out. There's several different ways that you can put music up on the screen. I can mouse notes in, one note at a time. I can use the keyboard to step notes in one at a time. But probably the most dramatic way to use the program would be to actually enter in a piece of music in real time. I simply hit the record button and play. And as soon as I hit the space bar, it turns into music.
Now, this used to be a pretty difficult thing to do not too long ago,
Transcription
Dennis.
is not an easy thing to do. You can sit down there and
well,
try to
I mean,
figure out the notes.
how accurate is this?
The computer is actually more accurate than what you can play. It will actually transcribe up to 64th note triplets. More often than not, you don't want to see that fine of notation on the screen. You want to get an approximation of what you've played so you can easily hand it to somebody and be able to play it back. I could literally be putting up 64th note rests every time I lift my hands up off the keyboard. It's a very, very accurate program. And once you have the music up on the screen, Encore is very, very easy to make changes to the music and edit your music. Much like a word processing program where I can cut, copy, and paste or change things, this now becomes a graphics program where I can say, oh, take this measure up to here. I want a little more space between these two measures. I want to slide this over. This is a wrong note. Let me just grab the note and change the note.
You can hear it as you
can hear it as you're playing it. I can grab my eraser and take out individual notes. I can just go to my palette here and grab different notes and enter them in on the screen, or grab slurs, curves. So I can start making this look like a real piece of music. Once everything is up on the screen, I can start moving things around. This is being used by professional musicians, amateur musicians, everybody from small recording studios to Herbie Hancock and Oscar Peterson.
Now, besides notation, what else can you do with this? There are other things I think
Well, there is actually, this really is a sequencer, and I'm not sure if you've covered sequencing quite yet, but basically this allows me to do full-blown orchestration with this program. And as you can see, I can see all the parts on the screen. I can actually take a look at another window called my staff sheet. And this allows me to change the volume of any of the tracks on the screen.
Okay, so there are all the different lines that are going in the music.
And here's my string part, and I can bring the strings up.
Wow.
So I have a mixer as well. I can change the sounds. If I want to make this string sound a horn sound, I can simply click in here and choose a different device. Oops, I don't have it set up.
Okay.
And change to a different device, horns, piano part. I can change everything around and then look at it. And then, of course, from here you can actually print it out. So print out on a dot matrix printer, on a laser printer, whatever quality printer you have. It is a Windows program, so it'll support any printer that Windows supports. I can automatically, for instance, take the bass line, extract that part to a new staff, and hand the bass line off to my bass player.
So unlike what we saw earlier in the show, this is really not for the novice Encore.
This is a professional musician program. Now, we do have a program that is available called Music Time, which is a very similar program to Encore. It's derived from Encore. It doesn't have quite as many bells and whistles. I can, basically, you do need to be a musician, or it helps to be a musician. I have had people go from the Miracle keyboard system after they've learned a little bit right to a notation program. As a matter of fact, this is available. This program works on the Miracle keyboard.
Really? Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, what's the minimum hardware you need to do something like this?
Basically, any computer, we have a PC version and we have a Macintosh version. The PC version needs to run Windows. So anything that will run Windows well
But I
will
mean,
run
you need
our
the
program.
rolling box
And you
like
need a
that.
synthesizer of some sort. I can deal with just a single
But you could be
keyboard.
working right off the
I can work
keyboard.
with this. I can work with, again, with the Miracle keyboard, with a Sound Blaster if you just want to use the mouse. But typically you'll need some kind of keyboard available at most commercial
and
stores.
what does Encore sell for? What's the price?
Encore is $5.95 and Music Time is $2.49.
Dennis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, MIDI music on the Macintosh. Stay tuned. The Macintosh has been a popular MIDI music platform thanks to its built-in sound capabilities. Here to show us the newest music software for the Macintosh is Keith Borman of Opcode Systems. You're going to show us two things, Keith, what you call your low-end Easy Vision and a higher-end product called Studio Vision. What is the difference between high-end and low-end in computer music? Because the low-end sometimes just really sounds like sort of computer music, and the high-end sounds like real music.
The high-end provides you additional ways to view the music and manipulate the music. It gives you graphical ways to manipulate it and also to do something called quantizing a little bit more accurately to give you more of a human feel.
Oh, you're going to show us some of this stuff now. Let's start with Easy Vision, which you have up here on the Mac. And just tell me what this does.
Well, it's a 16-track sequencer, and a sequencer is it's like a multi-track tape recorder in one sense. In another sense, it's like a word processor in that you can copy and paste information from one place to another and view it randomly.
All right, show us how you would use this.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Record, and I'm going to go into Loop Record. It's going to do 4 bars, and I'm going to repeat those 4 bars over and over again and add additional elements of music. And we can hear the count off here. I'm going to go. Okay, we've added the drum parts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch to a bass part now.
Now we're getting all those playing back.
Right. Now, in addition to that, I'm quantizing on the fly, so it's doing rhythmic corrections, almost like a snap to grid. Okay. Okay, let's add another part here. And one more part, let's add a horn part.
So you're just laying down a track at a time and accumulating those tracks.
Okay, let's look at that information very quickly. And what we'll do is we will view it on what's called a piano roll. And one of the nice things about Easy Vision is there's online help wherever you look, so you can kind of teach yourself while you're playing music. And this is not System 7 only, it also works with System 6 if you're still doing the switch.
All right.
Okay, and there's the counter, for instance, and here is the piano roll. And a piano roll is like a, what you would suspect. And one of the nice things about this kind of environment is I can click on a note.
And that was the note. Oh, and you're just moving the note right there, huh?
Yeah.
And you can hear what you're doing.
Yeah, and so if I play a wrong note, I can move it to the right place or get rid of it altogether. You can only imagine what Mozart or Beethoven would have done with an environment like this.
Okay, what else can we do?
Well, I can draw in a crescendo. Let's go ahead and play that.
Just like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, there is a mixing window where I can say, mix it. Now, we're going to see MIDI activity up here, and I'm going to pull the drum parts down. So you can do real-time mixing, automated mixing on the fly. Now, very quickly, what I'm going to do is create a song for you.
Okay.
And this is the arrangement window. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type in letters of pre-written sections of songs. So I'm going to say A, B, C, B, 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 B.
And these are pieces you created before.
Yes, and what I'm going to do now is I've linked my song sections together, and we're going to.
Well, as you said, I mean, it's a word processor, and you're sequencing the pieces of music all at the same time. All right, Keith, I see you have a microphone here, and I don't want you to get away here before you show us how you can actually record your voice into this.
Okay. So what we have been looking at right now was Easy Vision. What we're going to do right now is look at Studio Vision, which we released about 1.5 years ago, and it has taken the world by storm. It allows you to record 16-bit CD quality digital audio at a very reasonable cost. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my microphone. Now let's make sure that we have some music first off. Okay, very good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Record and sing a little bit along with it. na, na, na. Okay, let's listen back to this.
Okay, so you just recorded what you were singing into the mic.
Yeah, and we can view this. So along with the MIDI capabilities of a professional sequencer, it also gives you the ability to manipulate and
there
see
you are.
digital audio. So let's listen to that back, and you can see the bouncing ball just like the other program. Gives you an idea where the bars and beats are.
And there you are. And you're recording right onto the hard drive here?
That's correct. Direct to hard disk.
All right, now real quick, we only have a couple of seconds left. Show me how you can then add your own voice into this again.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it and merge it into itself. And I'm going to just grab the waveform and slide it just a little bit. Okay, let's listen to what that sounds like.
Sort of cut and paste and slide, and then you can go back and forward. That's great. Keith, thank you so much. That's really terrific. Easy Vision and Studio Vision. All right, that's our look at MIDI music. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, this is a special summer edition with the focus on software. Here are last week's best-selling software titles for the PC according to PC Connection. Microsoft again occupies the #1 and 2 positions with DOS and Windows upgrades. And rounding out the top 10 are Approach for Windows and Pizzazz Plus. Next up, Paul Schindler in our summer software review.
It looks like paper, but it could be a quarter-ounce pen computer. It's actually an access form for a new Windows application called Paperworks for PCs with fax boards. When you're not in your office, you send a form like this to your fax machine to put information into your PC or get it out. See these names? The handwritten ones were added from the field, the typed ones were added at a keyboard somewhere. You can really manipulate faxes on screen. If one comes in sideways, you can turn it, zoom in or out. This is one of the best fax displays I've ever seen on a PC. Unleash the power of your PC with Paperworks, $250 from Xerox in Rochester, New York. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Janelle Stelson.
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in part by PC Connection at Mac Connection, mail order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh, and the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Videocassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics.